Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Sean's Green Room podcast. Please remember, this is not a comedy show. However, it is a show about the comedy business, okay? Where we attempt to pull back the magical veil on the comedy brick wall, giving you, the listeners, an opportunity to hear the real stories from the artist and the industry itself directly. Your podcast host has been in the comedy club business for nearly 2 decades, that's right. And he has worked with comedians like Ralphie May, now he's a big boy, Joe Rogan, he's tough here, Kevin Hart, Russell Peters. Please welcome, okay, your host, Sean Traynor. Do it!
Today's special guest, this stand-up comedian has been seen on Comedy Central, Showtime, and NBC. Ladies and gents, Mr. Paul Varghese.
Well, welcome out, ladies and gents. My name is Sean, and this is Sean's Green Room. If you don't know who I am, I've been in the comedy business for about 2 decades. Worked with comedians like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Russell Peters, and of course, people like my guest today, Mr. Paul Varghese.
Yes, hey, you saw me when I started.
I did see you. I've seen you on Comedy Central. I've seen you on Showtime. I've seen you do some NBC stuff.
Yeah.
Way
back in the day.
Way back in the day. You've toured with amazing comedians, including
big ones.
Pretty big ones. Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, yeah.
Yes.
I don't ever talk about that, but it is officially on my Wikipedia page.
Is it?
Somebody updated it.
Okay, you should say thank you for updating now. You got a Wikipedia page?
So some random kid in India, which maybe he's related, right?
Yeah.
He just wrote it in like 06 or something, and it has enough credits to be valid. So, and then they use some random mobile pic from MySpace and put it up there, and it's still there. I check every now and again.
Is it that picture of you in front of the brick wall?
No,
no. Come on.
Okay, so I'll tell you. I'll tell you that story too, because that story is weird.
Okay, well, we'll hit Joan Rivers. So you did tour with Joan.
Yeah, her last 5 shows she did. We would have kept going, but she had to go on and die. So thanks a lot, Joan. Thanks. Literally, like
that is such a comedian thing to say. Like, you would never say that. You don't mean it. But there's so many other comics that would literally mean that when they say that.
Here's the weird thing. So 2 weird things. So we were in Long Island, or Huntington Beach, which is like over by Long Island, was our last show together, and they were supposed to go to New Jersey. And she was already talking about like, hey, listen, we were talking about LA. She's like, you're too funny. Why aren't you out there? And if you're worried about getting a job, I'll let you work and write for me, like on my shows, because she was still doing red carpet stuff. I was like, well, that's all you're kind of waiting for. You want like your foot in the door, you know? That's all anybody wants. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's great. And then a week later,
literally like the opportunity of a lifetime.
I don't look at it as Joan Rivers died. Joan broke her promise. Okay. I shouldn't be here. I should be Skyping in.
Yeah,
I should be Skyping in.
You should be scheduling this through like real management, not just texting me.
Exactly.
Okay, so the brick wall picture. Okay, let's go back to that one.
So I've been doing it 18 years.
Yes.
And this is the internet, but it's before social media, so you didn't really, and I was one of the first guys, and this is not a humble brag thing, it's just what happened. I was one of the first guys that kind of like broke through and got meetings in LA and was getting Montreal and stuff. So I'm trying to figure, I never acted. All I did was stand up, but I was getting invited to all these showcases about a year in. And so nobody in Dallas at that time had been doing any of that stuff. So everybody's just scrambling for like, okay, so hey guys, I need a headshot because I'm going to meet NBC in 2 weeks. We're like, all right, what's a headshot? Yeah. Like so now we're looking up, and at that point it's just all the comedian headshots are guys, like the microphone is a gun to the head, or
rubber chicken, or
or just like pointing this, or like the monkey see, monkey do, all that. Hey, there's a dog underneath here, guys. By the way, the growling is not me, in case it carries.
The growling is him. It is.
But everybody does the same, and you can't do that. So they need acting headshots. Okay, all right, hold on. Can we? Hey, let's sit up here. All right. I know it's getting good, right?
He brought his dog.
All right, sorry guys. It's my dog's birthday today, guys. He's 3.
Yeah, you don't leave anybody alone on their birthday. It's like a birthday weekend.
Yeah,
you got to be with them the whole weekend. Dog's no different.
Yeah, exactly. So, but everybody was scrambling. Like I didn't know. The guys I started with are like, hey, they didn't have headshots. None of us. You don't really need a headshot as a comic for promo pictures, or whatever. So we were like, okay, we took it in the back alley of the back stairwell of the Improv.
I recognize those bricks.
Yeah, because I don't know what it is with comics, but we're always like, well, I guess we got to be by a brick.
Yeah,
always.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
it is. It's like the sign. I just see bricks and I just think comedy.
Yeah, it's very. That's why the wall doesn't scare me. The Trump wall doesn't scare me. I'm just going to do stand up on the other side of it.
The brick wall. That's going to be real fun. It's going to be a fun.
It's going to be a great showcase.
It's two different languages. We got a dual showcase going on.
So we're all. I remember sitting out there with Steve Hallis and Cristela Alonso, and Cristela was working for the Improv at that point.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, let's. And she had done. She's studied theater and acting, so she knew kind of about headshots, but we didn't really know anything. You don't know what NBC's looking for. This is back when headshots were black and white, was how it was supposed to be.
And yours was in color ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
black and white doesn't mean like they didn't
color.
have color film. Let's clarify that.
Yeah.
This is like that was what it was though, and like you put your name on the bottom and your all that stuff. And so I remember taking the picture. I just wore whatever terrible shirt I had, and it was whatever. And I remember we took all these pictures. I remember smiling, and she was like, "Yeah, your smile's too goofy. We gotta let's find one where you're about to smile." And so, because my smile is very goofy, I'm very aware of it. Ever since you said that, for the last 15 years, I've been like, I gotta smile.
I don't smile right.
I don't smile.
Every time they're like, "Hey, you're like,
don't make me laugh." Yeah. So we did that and sent it, and it's funny because when I went to the meeting a couple of weeks later, look, I even dressed up for my meetings at NBC. You don't dress up for industry meetings. You just don't.
You don't.
Yeah, exactly. See, I don't know that. Like if you're maybe if you're an agent or something, maybe.
Okay.
But the comics, I can wear like what I'm wearing now because they just want you to be you. I literally dressed up like I was interviewing at a Best Buy. I had a button down shirt, and this is before I kind of dress how I do now. So I had a button up shirt, no tie. I buttoned the shirt all the way up.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
It was red with French cuffs. I remember this because my sister told me French cuffs were in.
They are. I mean,
but then I realized she's my older sister. She's been messing with me my whole life. So who knows?
Don't trust them.
I didn't even roll up the cuffs. This is 04. They were
they're over your palm.
I look like I just finished swashbuckling. That's okay. And I tucked it into some Dockers, some khaki Dockers. So I'm gonna, because in my head I think my mom telling me, this is back when I was living with my folks at this point. So they're the only ones that had heard about them in the comments. I was like, I'm going to NBC. Make sure you dress up and take shower, shave, all this stuff. It's like, because it's a regular corporate, it's NBC.
At that point,
you
gotta
don't
take
know.
it serious.
Yeah,
but you
don't know. I mean, now if anybody asks me,
safe and sorry is probably the rule. I would think.
I don't. It's just looked awkward. Yeah,
okay.
because you're a comic, and now all of a sudden because remember I used to dress up in ironically how people dress now, plaid shirts, jeans, hoodies. And then remember about 8 years ago, I quit doing that. Yeah. And then everybody started doing it. And I'm like, you guys made fun of me for years for wearing plaid shirts.
You literally paved the path.
Yeah. And then got no credit for laying the concrete.
I think every show from now on, when I see somebody wearing that, I'm going to give them a credit for you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I need to make money some way.
Some way. And we'll sell your CDs afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So you go in there, and I had I had a stack of my headshots, because you don't know what to expect. You don't know, is it everybody there? Do you hand it out? Is it like a job interview? But now I know it's like this. This is what it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I didn't know that until I went to Montreal. The first time I did Montreal, and that was 2007. At that point, social media had been out, and a couple of the comics had actually done stuff, and they were like, hey, just be you. It's okay. You can just walk in the way you are. They booked you. They didn't book dressed up you.
I guess that's true, because they do have content to watch, so they do know what to expect.
Yeah.
Even with a reel, a reel is what you would put together if you had a whole bunch of spots and TV shows or movies, and you have a demo reel. Yeah. That's a little bit smaller, scenes. But with comedy, you have a 30-minute, 45-minute thing. They got a real good idea.
But it's also if you're going to dress up, what I've learned with stand-up is if you're going to dress up, you need to Steve Harvey dress up. You need to be in a suit,
way over the top,
like you're rich.
Yeah.
Because tucking in a French cuff shirt into khakis, you just look like you're applying to be the manager of Brahms
with no belt.
Yeah. Oh no, it was just awful. I look back, I'm like, why did they take me? No, that's why they didn't take me seriously. I just. They tried. But I wish somebody had told me back then. But again, we learned flying by the seat of our pants kind of thing. Like, what do you do for the showcase? I remember this so well because we were on the showcase. We're like, okay, you're supposed to tell them, because even like talking to Dean and Chuck Kaysen, obviously passed away, but Chuck had just moved out there. He was the first guy from this whole group to go out there. He moved out in 03, right? End of 03. Him and Jim. Do you remember his dog Jim?
No, I don't.
That was like it's so weird.
I feel like I should.
I feel like my life is slowly mirroring Chuck in a good way, but but I'm not married and I have a dog.
Okay.
And he's with me everywhere. And Jim and Chuck were like locked in. But this is when Chuck was out there and he picked me up from the airport. I mean, it was very like,
I love Chuck. That guy was so sweet.
Yeah.
I remember with Chuck when I tried my feeble attempt at stand-up comedy, and I got put on a show. I think it was Pablo Francisco found out I was doing stand-up comedy, and he comes up to me, and I'm like 4 weeks into Dean's class, Dean Lewis, the comedy class, man. And Pablo comes up, he's like, "Hey, dude, you're doing comedy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna do comedy." And he's like, "Oh man, you want to go up and do a spot?" And I should have said no.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead, it came out yes.
Okay.
And I went up, and Chuck was there that night, and he saw this travesty of a set.
Yeah.
And it was 3 minutes, and I didn't know you could bomb that bad in 3 minutes. Sold out, complete.
Sorry.
That
was the dog saying, "I knew."
Oh,
I just heard, "Hey, no. That's just hey, come on. Hey, let's be nice. Hey, we can't edit this out. Come on, we're losing time. All right, we're good.
We can always edit. Post edit's great.
Hey."
It just gives Jimmy something to do.
Let's cut to the dog when he's barking. Let's cut to the bottom. He's like, "I didn't think I could bomb."
Why didn't you know? You should have known.
You should.
Yeah, so I get up and I do 3 minutes and I eat it, and Chuck comes up afterwards.
Now, did it feel like you ate it? Did you feel embarrassed?
I felt awkward. Okay, well, here's where my biggest mistake.
Because we'll go into the self-awareness thing, but I feel like a lot of comics, especially now, and it might be like, I don't know what to blame it on, but maybe social media, aren't self-aware of like the bombing. They're like, now it's kind of like, oh, well, no, it's the audience.
Yeah, this particular audience did get me. No, it was me.
But I think the way we all kind of grew up, just because the whole scene was like that. Like if you bombed, we were like, man, you sucked. And everybody would say it, not in a mean way.
Yeah.
Just like, ooh.
I mean, you don't want to go up for your first time in front of all your friends at your job.
Yeah.
During like a Saturday sold out show with Pablo's crowd.
I mean, I bombed in front of the first guest that I ever did. I bombed in front of my friends. And I remember now in hindsight, it was a scam because I remember this because the comic, and we'll keep his name out of this so you don't tag him in it because it's not a shout out to him.
Yeah, you know I do.
But yeah, but he was, "Hey, Paul, do you want to do a guest set on Saturday Late Show?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, if you want to do it, you got to bring 20 paid people." And like in hindsight, in my I was like, "Oh, I would love a guest set. You got to pay your dues." And they got to pay $30 to get in, and 20 of them showed up. And this is before texting. I was calling
literally work.
And this is back when I wasn't drinking and I had no friends. So like it was
for you to round up 20 people.
Yeah, with no bar friends and no fan base, and I was 4 months in.
Wow. So
I went up there and I ate it, and they did not watch me again. None of those people came to watch me again until 2000. I started doing House of Blues in 2013. So it was so bad, like for 11 years it lingered.
you literally, these people are showing up laughing. Like, last time I saw you, you ate it. And you're like, I was 3 months in the game.
I'm like, I have a 10-year-old now. Look at this. It's 11 years. That's how bad I ate it. 11 years.
That's pretty bad. Mine might have been pretty much the same. I gave up pretty much after that one game. I think I did a few other times, but but Chuck came up to me, Chuck Kaysen, after the show, and he was like, "Oh, dude, that was a really good joke. It's just you."
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, and the next time I see him, he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I'm going to do one of your jokes because I want you to see how it should have been done."
Oh, really?
And it was, dating it. Okay, back in the day, you had the 1-800 number. You go like 1-800-COLLECT.
Yeah.
And you could no, it wasn't the collect. It was
the 1010.
It was 1411 where you could get a phone number.
Okay.
And so if you call information, they charge you $1, and you get the phone number. But if you call them back and you say the number you got wasn't any good, they give you back $1.
Okay.
And I'm like, I made $154 today. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
And that's what it sounded like in that. Nothing.
Okay.
And I get
Chuck
just the same thing, just pasted better.
Yeah.
And kind of just gave the look, and crowd roared. And I
Oh,
just-
he did it on stage.
Oh, on stage.
He did it right
during the
after
show.
you?
Yeah, it was like
He was the
next
middle
time I
act?
was- Yeah, it was
Oh, no, I thought the same show.
No, it was a different show. But yeah, he went up and it was one of those where I go, well, maybe I could just write for somebody one day. Maybe that's what I'll do.
There are definitely a lot of comics that should be writers,
Oh yeah, no, and I think that's
and that's not an insult.
no, by no means. I mean, one of
But
our
the not the delivery part, but the public performance part can really kind of wreck your brain. Like, it can really ruin self-esteem. It can make you self-absorbed. It can do a lot of bad things.
and some people are just better at writing. I mean, they're not that they're bad at doing stage comedy. You know, they're just their writing is so smart that they're not capable of performing their own material.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But okay, so the show.
Yeah.
It's called Sean's Green Room.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what I like to talk about is
Do we just? Does that mean that we just edit out the whole first part? Because you could start with this line.
okay. Yeah, we'll just
The last 40 minutes where we started crying
Thanks for
about
coming
Joan
out,
Rivers
ladies and
Chuck.
gentlemen.
You're like, so the show's called Sean's Green Room. I like it.
like
Every 5 minutes you just keep saying that.
Just in case. Just in case. I did take some notes from other people. No. So Sean's Green Room.
Yeah.
If people don't know what a green room is, I would hope these people would know what a green room
Now,
is.
do we know the history of the name Green Room? You should look that up.
I think that
Or you
should
know
be-
what? Maybe that's the question you ask the comics.
That's
That's
the
the
next
ongoing question.
So question, why do they call it a green room?
Because I assume that all the comics are, when there's more than one comic in there, they're jealous of each other. So it's envy.
Oh.
Now,
I
keep
like that.
keep that one in there. So if
I'm
somebody
gonna-
else says it, like, you just hacked Varghese.
Yeah, I will.
And he's probably wearing a plaid shirt and a hoodie.
It will be. I'm gonna make everybody wear a plaid shirt and a
Wait,
hoodie from now
make
on.
them wear a
I'm just gonna
uniform?
bring it, and they're like, "Oh, this is the."
I still
outfit for the
have.
show.
I wore bag. Remember how baggy my clothes were back then? Because
Yeah.
I was.
Oh, dude, you weighed like 4 pounds.
I mean, I
come
still
on.
do. I weigh, but I wear clothes that fit me now. But it looks better now. But like back then, I thought nobody would notice that I'm wearing, extra large.
Yeah,
But then now everybody's wearing pants that sag, and I'm like, what am I?
Man,
Okay.
you trend setter. That's what we
I
call
was
you.
I was a social media influencer. I just didn't have the social media.
And you didn't care about it. You were just I didn't care about all the social media.
I would have
world.
cared about it had we had it back then.
Oh, those. I'm so surprised in some of these videos that you see out
That
there.
went viral.
Oh, and you just go, oh man, this guy just made a shitload of money,
Yeah.
and it's the most stupidest thing I've ever
So
seen.
you know that, like, and this sounds very weird, but there's a I guess burgeoning is the word, blossoming comedy scene in India.
Okay.
Lots of people who just started in the last year or two, and their videos have like 100,000, 200,000 hits. And somebody was like, well, that's like, 0.01% of India's population. I'm like, yeah, but they also all don't have computers.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's some Indian guys kind of like bumping the algorithms up there, because there's no way, like,
Oh no, there's
200,000 hits
absolutely-
on an open mic. Come
Yeah.
on, dude.
I've seen those factories where they do they hook up all these cell phones, and the cell phones are just it's impressive. It is impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so green room.
Okay.
So I always like to think about like fun stories. One comes to mind
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
Green room stories, and it has to do with a contractual green room requirements. Okay, so with contracts. Contracts say, hey, they're performing this day. They're going to get paid this amount of money.
Yeah.
Here's all the rules. And by the way, all the rules inside of a contract are not for a comedy club. It's clearly for a comedian.
Yeah.
And part of it is what we call the writer. Okay. And then inside of there, it has what they require as far as inside the green room. I imagine you've been plenty of green rooms with intense amount of products.
I can always tell who was there before based off
What's left over?
Yeah, what's left over. I can always tell. And I think me and you are probably the only two that, because I've been here for so long, that know.
I mean, I saw you go
Bruce
up.
was in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you go up for the first time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that showcase. That,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not the guest spot. I didn't see that one, but I
Can we
did.
pause this for the other? Hey. All right. There we
The
go.
next scene, he's just in your arms.
I'm gonna have to put him in there at some point. He just looks out the door. All right. All right.
Should I shut the door? Would that help?
Can we shut the door?
Yeah, I'll shut the door.
Okay. Hey, nobody's coming in. We're not gonna edit this part out. This is gonna be the opening part of the scene. If you could see, no, just keep it like this. Let's just let them see just the top of his head right there.
It just looks like he just had this hairy bush down there.
Okay. Hey, calm down.
You're in good hands. Don't worry. gonna get a haircut. Then you can park.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
What do we edit? How do you edit that out?
You know, that's Jimmy's problem. It's not mine. Okay. So green room.
Yes.
Okay. Inside of a green room, there's crazy things in those green rooms.
Yeah.
Meaning, some people like fruit trays, vegetable trays. Maybe they want specific. Like I've had people who ask for things from like Whole Foods, like specific items from specific stores.
I feel like you're going to go so extreme.
No,
you said crazy things. You're like, you don't like veggie trays. Everybody else is like, really?
Yeah, they're like, that sounds pretty normal. They want food? That's crazy. I did. I don't know if you've ever worked with or know of Eddie Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I've worked with him before.
Okay, I love Eddie. When I'm making him happy, I love him. You don't.
Yeah, he doesn't like me, but I understand why he can be difficult to work with.
Yeah. Luckily, I guess I've rewarded.
No, we don't tag him in the Facebook post, right? No, we shouldn't. We should.
I might. No. His contract over the years has changed, and it's a lot lighter than it was. But back in the day, it was like a hunt. He wanted a specific pair of shoes.
New ones, right? Every set?
No, it was for a weekend.
Okay.
So I would only have to find one. But the one particular pair of shoes that he wanted the last time I had to go for the hunt was he wanted some like Air Force Ones or some high top, these specific ones, and his shoe size. I'm not going to say his shoe size.
It's single digits, I assume, right?
I'm just saying.
It's like a lady's double digit, basically. Is that the best way to say it?
Yeah, we'll go with that. And I just couldn't find him.
Yeah.
And it's the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
And it needs to be there. And
like he won't go up if he doesn't have it?
No. I mean, he would, but he's gonna throw a fit.
Okay.
So yeah, finally find him. And I'm damn near in Fort Worth. An hour away. I've gone to like 13 or 14 stores. I'm calling 9 while I'm driving to the next one because they say they have a pair, and then I show up and they don't.
Yeah.
So when it comes to green room stories, do you have any?
As far as like demands or just
whatever.
Or just,
this is called the green room. So do you have anything?
I will tell you the one thing. Again, I want to keep names out of this because like I feel like there's this whole thing of people looking for criticism, but I will.
Well, with you got to keep names out because you're trying to pursue the career.
Well, I know them all. So, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just what I see. The older I get, maybe it's just because I'm like, why would you do that? Like now, when somebody's a little just like a comic's a little bit like bitchy with the waitstaff, no matter who it is, it could be here, it could be backdoor, it could be at a theater. I'm always like, you realize what we're doing for a living, like. This is none of this is necessary.
Right.
Like you may think you're amazing, but this is not necessary. But I feel like people get to a certain level, they're used to constantly being accommodated.
Do you think if there was like a total annihilation of humanity, okay, and whether it's zombies or bombs or whatever, would there still be stand-up comedy?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then it is a necessity.
Yeah.
So,
well, because they perform mostly in basements, right? And those are safe from the apocalypse. So it'll be Colin Quinn,
all those New York comics.
Yeah, Rich Voss. Yeah.
That's everybody who's left.
Everybody's just those 8 dudes.
Okay. So great.
I remember one time, and this is a really, really big name comic, ordered some food, and the food came, and the comic goes, "This doesn't look like what I ordered. It actually looks spoiled." And the person who brought it goes, and the comic takes the food in a spoon and goes, "Try this," to the server, and the server just like ate it, and he's like, "Was that what I ordered?" And they were like, "No," and they took the thing and left, and I was like, that was like the most Julius Caesar kind of like, okay, if you saw somebody else do that, wouldn't you think? I mean, if that comic saw it, I've seen that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I also like those comics at that level, because I'm talking about comics who like do theaters. They're used to being catered so much that like when we always talk about this, like when Russell came into town, remember he was doing spots here in Dallas.
That's Russell Peters.
Russell Peters, yeah. Everybody was so amazed by how nice he is, and that shows you how we look at celebrity. We're like, oh, celebrities are allowed to be assholes,
right?
But they shouldn't be. They're people, but they're allowed to be, and so when somebody's nice, they're like, oh my. I can't, like, it's a talent. It's like, no, that's what you do. I
mean, when it comes to the big kid comics,
yeah.
okay, I've worked with a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Most of them are really awesome human beings.
Yeah.
Like the majority of them, like if you put, the 100 in a room, really, I would only probably want to talk shit about one of them or two of them.
Yeah.
And even then, they're still cool in essence. They just have their little elements of diva.
Yeah.
And when regards to Peters, dude, that dude is super nice.
Yeah.
Like, I've never had a bad experience with him.
Well, I think when people say like they can't believe somebody's nice, it tells me more about that person. Thinking like, if I was rich, I would be an asshole.
Wow.
That's how I look at it.
Okay. No, that's pretty deep.
That's how I view it.
Almost
It's like,
philosophical.
yeah,
right
when
there.
they go like, he doesn't have to be nice to us. Yeah, he does. He's a person.
Yeah, we're humans.
That's what you do.
Yeah, no.
His money doesn't mean anything. I always look at like whenever a comic always tells me that like, I just want to be, especially new comics, just want to be famous. I'm like, you realize if you want to be famous, you need to strive to be the most famous person in the world. Because if you're not, you're a failure. So that's not a realistic goal because nobody's going to beat Michael Jordan. He's the most famous person ever.
Right.
Maybe Michael Jackson, but Michael Jordan, let's say Michael Jordan, most famous person ever, right?
Pretty close. I mean, somewhere up there.
The most
Maybe
famous-
Jesus.
Yeah.
That might be the other more
The
famous.
most famous comic now is probably Kevin Hart or Russell Peters, whatever, one of the two.
Yeah.
And they're not ever going to be as big as famous as Michael Jordan. And they know that, and they don't care. You can strive to be that,
Right.
but you're never going to be him because it's a different skill set altogether.
Yeah, it's a different.
I mean, Kevin Hart's definitely trying.
he's getting
trying
damn close.
so hard.
Yeah, he's just like that off stage. I mean, have you worked with Kevin?
I've never met him.
Oh man, he ball busts the entire time.
Okay.
And I remember when I met him, I didn't realize how famous he was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until literally 30 days later.
Yeah.
And then I go, holy shit.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
guy is everywhere. Every time I turn the channel, here he is. I'm like, and before that, I don't know why. Maybe not. Probably some kind of racist bullshit right there. Okay. So regarding the show here, back to the podcast. When it comes to comedians, you guys travel, you guys do gigs.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We call them the road. That's what you're going to be on the road, and you're going to be going from venue to venue or gig to gig. Road stories. I love them.
Okay.
I love them because that's what I think defines a comedian compared to anybody else in the entertainment business is the bullshit you guys have to go through. I imagine there's probably some other kind of entertainment. I can't think of one. I never have. But the road is such a pivotal piece of the success of a comic.
Yeah.
Nurturing relationships with other comedians.
Yeah.
And kind of humbling.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when I say, hey, tell me a road story, it's not going to be like, well, I had this luxury sedan and it took me from one city to the next city and ate caviar the whole way.
It's like what we were talking about before we started recording when I was like, I can always tell who's a real comic because when I ask you like, what's your most memorable gig? If they tell me this night that they killed, I'm like, oh, you haven't gone up enough.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, my most memorable gigs are the ones that were I got called something, or something bad happened.
Yeah.
Same thing with if I ask a comic, hey, how was your show? And they go, I killed. I'm like, okay, you don't go up enough. When I mean, how was your show? I mean, how many people showed up? That's what I mean.
I'm literally asking numbers.
You killed. That's great. That was your job. That's great. Like when I say, how was your show? Hey, we broke curtain. That's all. That's what I mean. I don't care that you killed. How does that affect me?
And when you say break curtain, meaning
here's 150, I think. Or something?
150, 200. Basically, there's in a lot of venues, there's a curtain that you can draw between
who's good, who sells, and who doesn't.
sells and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So it doesn't embarrass the comic when they go up and the whole damn thing's empty.
But if I say, how was your show? And you go, I bombed. I accept that.
Right.
But you
Now
don't ever need to tell me you killed. Like that's your job. But tell me when the job goes astray.
Right.
So.
Okay, so road.
So
got any, and you can keep names out of it if you want to. Don't keep names, please. Don't keep names.
Don't keep. Well, most of my stuff is me by myself. 'Cause I do a bunch of colleges and corporate stuff. But I mean, I've opened obviously for big people on the road. But those events are they're easy.
Okay.
Because Joan Rivers and Chappelle and Russell Peters and all these people are they're pulling in 4,000 people.
Yeah, those aren't really road stories. Those are like joyful moments.
I mean, maybe the only moment I've had with Russell is he was like, "Hey, come meet us on the bus. We're gonna take the tour bus up to Dallas." And I was walking up with my buddy Bob Khashravi. There's a name drop. There's a name tag.
There you go.
We were walking up, and I'd like to think he didn't see me, but the doors closed on the bus and they took off. So we just are walking up to a bus leaving. So that was That's nice and humbling. but
I guess was this a time? Did you have Uber? Did you have to call an Uber for that?
oh no, we drove down to Houston.
Okay.
But we were like, okay, but we'll take the bus back and figure it out, whatever. It's a tour bus. When do you get to do that? But yeah,
No.
just shut. I would say I made a bunch of my money doing college shows by myself. I was doing that for years.
Yeah.
When you guys didn't see me for a while, it's because I was doing college shows, and I would say probably a third of them. The only thing in my rider, in my requirements, is a bottle of water, a microphone, and a stool. Okay. Now, 90% of them don't have. The only reason I want the stool is to put my bottle of water down, so
Right.
I don't hold it while I'm performing.
Right.
And pause. Hey. So, let me grab this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry.
welcome out to the Sean's Green Room.
and slash animal shelter. Okay, let's get his head right there.
There he is.
People think I'm doing bad things. Okay, anyway, so so the only thing was the stool, and if they don't have the stool, I'm fine with it. I'll figure it out. I'll do an hour standing there. But the main thing is just, you only had to have the bottle of water. People would apologize. We don't have the bottle of water.
What?
But I'm like, it's fine. It's
Okay, can I get a cup?
But listen, all that's fine. But I'm telling you, the majority of times, they didn't have a microphone in these college shows.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I'm not joking. And it was like, it would be kind of thing like, hey, the show's at 7, right?
Right.
We have a sound check at 6. I'm like, I'm just talking into a microphone. So as long as the microphone works, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I show up at 6:45. And like, where's the mic? You weren't at sound check. I'm like, well, can you find a microphone for me?
Yeah.
We'll go look for one. And half the time it would be like, they might find like a lapel mic.
Right.
Or half the time they just don't have one, or the mic dies. I had a school, 2 schools, the whole time I did it, asked for their money back. Both of them didn't have a microphone. Well, one had a microphone, but it was in a gymnasium, like with the big cavernous ceilings.
Yeah.
And people there was a Build-A-Bear workshop next to my show.
Okay.
So once somebody came in and goes, hey, there's a Build-A-Bear workshop, all the kids left. Okay. So I'm sitting there. I'm supposed to do 45 minutes. They're gone. So I'm just, okay.
Literally,
They're gone. And but then they come back in with their bears. Like, so like 30 kids come in holding these bears. And I just start making fun of them. Okay, because what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, no, you need to address.
I mean, technically,
address this stuffed animal. In
if
the
somebody
room.
asked me how that show was, I would be like, hey, there were 60 there. 60
There were
what?
60.
What? Well, 30 people, 30 bears.
30 bears. 28
But
bears.
so I went in there, and they're not listening because they're all showing their bears off to each other. I can't believe they all came back in, And then,
I mean, they probably paid good money to
That's
buy
what I'm
those tickets
talking-
in that auditorium.
and it was free.
Of course
It's
it
a
was.
gymnasium, yeah.
Yes.
It was a lock-in. It was a lock-in at Illinois State University. You want to drop names? You want to tag people in there? Illinois State University. They can kiss my ass because it was
Who invited the Build-A-Bear? What is this?
it was 10 p.m. It was a lock-in. They wanted to make sure the kids didn't go out and drink.
Okay.
It was snowing anyway, so they weren't going to go out. Okay. The DJ was piped in through the same speakers that I was taught. So if he was like, all right, we got hot chocolate in the rec center. Like, it was like right in the middle. Like, so my mom was deathly sick, and we got jujubes. Not jujube. That's how old I am. I was trying to think of gummy bears.
Yeah, no, that was
Haribo.
that did
God, I was-
yeah,
okay. It was a long time ago.
it was. Okay,
But I
so-
went in there, and the advisor came in. She saw me like struggling because they're like yelling at me. We can't understand you. I'm like, the ceiling is like
30
as
feet up.
big as like the Sistine Chapel. It's like it's gonna boom, huh? It was that. She came in during that, and she like kind of shook my hand when I was done, and then she called my college agent and said, "Yeah, I don't want to pay him because he's supposed to do 45. He only did 35." I'm like, and then I had to explain to her what was going on, and she was like, "Yeah, well, I still need you to do." I'm like, how am I supposed to perform for 30 people holding teddy bears in a gymnasium with a DJ piping in?
This was early in your career, right?
Less than a decade ago, I'll say that.
Okay, I was gonna.
No.
Do you think if you did the same gig again?
Ugh, why would you do that to me?
No. Let's just say same situation.
I'd shake.
How would you have handled it differently?
Well, I would have never used the mic,
Okay, that's smart.
but when they all left, I would have locked the doors.
Okay, yeah, good. And then you would have just really worked on those 30 remaining people, kind of.
There was nobody there.
It's fine. Are you telling me like Everybody left?
I would, yes. And I would have
But there's like one dude that just sit there going like, I like this.
oh no, the guy who did the sound in the gymnasium.
Did you just shut up for like that 10, 15 minutes? Or did you continue doing?
There was one dude there.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, so do I have to keep going? That's what I told him. I have to keep performing. He's like, he doesn't know. He's not on staff. He's like,
I hate stuffed animals. I don't care.
I saw you on YouTube. That's my weird fan base. I always have one person at every show that like, I watch you on YouTube all the time. That's okay. That's great. Can you invite? Do you have friends? They never look like they have friends.
No.
So, but I wouldn't. I don't know what I would have done differently.
I think we should reenact this. I'll do it on one of these Wednesdays.
I performed here when the lights went on, the power went out.
Oh, that's always exciting.
I did an entire set and never came back on. I did an entire set to candlelight. It was really, and I actually explained what my face was supposed to be doing in the joke, and they killed.
You're doing virtual or like a visual.
So I'm doing a joke about my dad. I'm
actor.
like, right now my eyes are bugging out, and he's like indifferent. He's smoking a cigarette when he's telling me this. They were loving it. They lost. It's funny, like in those moments when those things happen, if you're honest to the audience, they love it because they know it's awkward.
Yeah.
It's trying to play it off like, oh no, this didn't happen, or this venue sucks. No, they're still sitting there. Yeah. And in Houston, well, I'm not calling out all the improv technical flaws. The fire alarm went off in my set, and it doesn't turn off.
No, not till the fireman shows up
and pulls down the lever.
Yeah, and does the little key. And
I did 5 minutes, and then and nobody moved. To their credit, like they sat there and looked at me, and I was like, "Hey guys, listen, I know you guys all trust me to tell you if there's a fire coming, and if you see me running in that direction, just follow me out the door." I'll look over your shoulders like I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I had a situation with that just recently, within the last year.
That was here
at Addison.
Okay,
and the alarm's going off, and for whatever reason, the manager on duty just let the show go on. And
it's weird that people don't leave.
No, they
like we're at that point now.
Yeah, I would think so.
Like we're treating fire alarms like car alarms.
Oh yeah, no. I'll put it this: I didn't really know this happened until the following day when the fire marshal shows up.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, she was.
Let me show you something.
She was really not happy with the decision that we made. Okay. So yeah, we ran through some protocols, and yeah. Okay, just for the record, when you hear fire alarm going off, yeah, get the hell out. Apparently.
Everybody leave.
Yeah, just stop it. Don't even try to finish your chicken strips. Don't try to guzzle down your beer. Just leave it.
Do you realize now that I'm thinking about it, more people have left my shows during a Build-A-Bear workshop than for fire. That's how great I'm doing. You sure you want to air this podcast?
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Build-A-Bear.
Yeah. No, I'm going to tag the shit out of Build-A-Bear.
Or the next time there's a fire alarm, just yelled out, there's a Build-A-Bear workshop at Pete's. And then all
free stuffed animals. And everybody's like, oh, Lord. His microphone doesn't work. Why did I just do Jim Gaff again there? Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did have some questions that I put out into the internet, and I said, hey, people.
So when you posted that, I was so like, here comes,
yeah,
they're going to kill me. And they were nice.
They were nice.
They were nice. I thought they were going to kill me.
There was one about white chicks at a Whole Food, but I don't know.
There was the funniest one that I saw was Alvin Newsom. You can tag him in there. Him in.
I'll tag him.
Was him going, hey, who are your favorite comics? Who are his favorite comics in Dallas to work with? Which is basically saying, hey, Paul, tell me that you like to work with me in Dallas.
And so do you. Look at the
camera.
I do.
Which one time I look at that?
Look over here and you let Alvin know.
I'll let all of them. I'll just scan them all so you can edit. Alvin's great.
We
like Alvin. Alvin's awesome.
I do love Alvin.
He's great.
Okay, so one was put out, I think it was from your mom, said, why isn't he married yet?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Okay,
that's what I tell them. I don't know.
Yeah. Why don't you work on this, Mom? Aren't you supposed to order me something? How does this work?
Her job. Yeah, Amazon Prime delivers, right?
I would think so. Okay, so how did you get your Comedy Central opportunity?
So in 05 or 06, I got HBO in Montreal at the same time.
And Montreal being the Montreal Comedy Festival?
Yeah.
Just for laughs.
Yeah. So I got them both within, I was probably 4 years in, but you couldn't do them in the same year. It was like some weird contract. So Montreal had me 2 years later, and HBO had me in 05 or 06. And that's where Comedy Central was in the audience. You basically you do a showcase. So it's kind of like how Backdoor does like 8 comics. Everybody does 10 minutes.
Right.
And then literally people just come up to you. It's like a trade show almost. Like I walked out. It was at Caesars in Vegas. I walk out and there's just a line of people just like in a row, and they come up to you like, hey, I represent this person, I represent this person, I represent this person. That was Comedy Central's thing. And they just followed up with me. Obviously living here, but then they had to type a set out and they removed certain things for sponsors. And it was great. And then I got in a couple other times just through other comics, just vouching for me when they had showcase shows and stuff. But then Montreal was, a year later. But
So you've been doing this for 18 years, right?
Yeah.
Do you have an anniversary? Is there something we should mark on
June
that?
6th.
June 6th.
2001. That was my very first time on stage.
And that was where was the first time on stage?
Addison, here.
That was it's not the guest spot. That was the first time up.
Yeah,
Was
that was
that showcase that you did?
that opened for Hedberg. Remember Hedberg headlined that. I had no idea who Hedberg was.
God.
And I was like, this guy took Dean's class? Like that's how dumb I was. I thought I did well. I sat there, I'm like, man, Dean's such a great teacher. Look at this guy. He's doing like 8 minutes on ice cubes. That's amazing.
Mitch Hedberg, rest in peace.
I didn't know. It was 01.
Yeah.
It was 01. How was I supposed to know?
I had him one time for New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And like you got like shows that people come to the comic to see the show because they know the artist.
Of course.
Well, New Year's Eve is like one of those shows people come to the
holiday
venue, not giving shit about the artist, you know. And Mitch is not a normal comedian. And nowadays, people get it.
Yeah,
but back when he was doing his thing, it was so unique.
It was hit or miss, yeah.
And in this particular, one of the things we figured out was you needed, what was his name? Jim, the bassist that played with him.
Chuck Savage.
Chuck Savage. So this year, Chuck couldn't make it. Yeah. So Mitch, without the bass behind him, was really hit or miss. I mean, like it was one of the two. Yeah. And I remember all these people leaving, like walking out on Mitch. Like, I want a refund and all that. I'm like, guys are idiots. This is like literally a god of the alternative comedy. Yeah. And you went up and that was your showcase and he was on that show with you.
He closed the showcase. That's what you think in hindsight, it's, we bring all the people because he didn't pull in that many people back in 01.
No, he never did. Yeah. He really never did.
All the comics would come watch him all the time because we all loved him.
Right.
But he barely broke curtain. It's like you said, a lot of people walked out and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we bring all the people in the showcase, all our friends and family, so it's packed.
Right.
And we thought the show was over. Then he comes up and does an hour, and nobody said. Dean didn't even tell us that. Hey, Mitch Hedberg's closing. Mitch has done this because it's weird when comics start doing stand up. If they've never done stand up before, you go into those classes, you're oblivious that there's this whole subculture of all these comics that don't exist. All you know is the big famous dudes. You don't know the Gaffigans and all those guys back then.
Yeah, no,
so
it's very
with
true.
Hedberg, I honestly thought that was like one of Dean's students. I remember telling my friend, I was like, dude, see, Dean taught that dude.
Yeah, this guy's good. But Dean must be amazing. Okay, so being in the game for 18 years, Comedy Central, the Showtime, all this thing, you're still here in Dallas. Yeah. So the question, of course, we've always bugged you about is like, you're on this show, and I've been watching comedy for a while. Yeah. You are really, really funny. Like you are, hands down, the best DFW comic. And I you won the funniest comic in Texas competition. And the first one we ever had, you had some good competition with you. And we all got back in the back. Even Randy Butler from Hyenas was with us. Yeah. And we got back there. He's like, this guy's really good. And Randy goes, Paul. And that was that was what 11 years ago. You just exude like amazing talent. You're a great writer, and you're enjoyable to watch on stage.
Thanks, man.
Why the fuck are you still here? Like,
so there's a multitude of reasons. Okay. But the basic reason is I never got, because I've been doing so many industry showcases out there with festivals and stuff. I never got the inkling that like, hey, okay, we like you. We can work this with you. It was always like, okay. It never felt like all the comics that I've known that have moved out there, whether it be from here or from other cities over there, LA or New York, the ones who really kind of did well, kind of had their foot in the door in some capacity, whether it be a network or a job that was already there for them in the industry, something that got them like, okay, this is what you're doing here. Don't worry about money. You're good. And then that propelled other stuff. I literally would have been in there with, I know the comics, but look, the comics can only do so much, and they're only and all the comics, you know this living here, when they come in, they always tell every comic, oh, you got to come to LA, I'll hook you up. They tell that to every single comic.
I think there's an element to what they can hook you up with. You know, they can
or if they
open
even want
a little
to.
bit. The question becomes,
is it just
are they going to use that one favor for you? You know, that I mean, like everybody has favors. I mean, I got tons of favors that I could pull. But the thing is, I only can open that door one time. You know, one opportunity here. Just like the NBC Stand Up for Diversity show. I think you won the first one on that, right?
I was in the finals with Marvin in LA. Yeah.
And Marvin, or you won that?
Marvin won it.
Marvin won.
And that was probably my third experience doing showcases for industry, and I bombed. I'll tell you that. I mean, I followed Marvin. He destroyed.
I haven't seen Marvin in forever.
Well, Marvin's here.
I know he is. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen his name.
But he destroyed, and I couldn't follow him. And that's fine. I'm not mad that I couldn't follow him. But you would think, in your head, you're thinking, oh, it's industry. They're going to be like, oh, at least they'll understand that I'm a writer. And you basically get meetings set up for you afterwards, and nobody set up a meeting. Like, to the point where you're there for a week.
Is this that one Indian teardrop? We can make that joke right now.
I mean, it was multiple. I balled one big teardrop. It just came out like they all came together.
Both eyes is just one big drop.
And the showcase was on Tuesday, and they keep you there till Friday to do meetings Wednesday and Thursday. Literally, right after you're done, you go upstairs. This is at the Melrose Improv, and every industry person's there, whether it be Sony, ABC, every network. And when you're done, they come up and they shake your hand and, hey, we're going to set up a meeting for tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. So you see them all make eye contact with me because we're all in this small upper space, and they're literally like, here's me. Is this in the camera? Here's me. And here's them walking, okay? And they're like, and I'm like looking at them. We make eye contact. I'm like, oh, look, that's the dude from ABC. Oh, okay. All right, okay. And it just insert network, you know, PAX, you know, logo, whatever it is. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I guess they're not even looking at like, I mean, at this point, like I'm like the only brown comic probably in the country doing stand up. Me and Raj was just only doing local shit at that point, you know. Maybe Russell hadn't even popped. Russell was still in Canada.
Yeah,
so I'm probably the only one. So you would, at the least, you would think, especially now with how diversity is like everything, you would think they would back then they'd be like, whoa, this is the only brown dude I've ever seen. Yeah. But they didn't even.
Had they made that decision, you would probably have like a Learjet at this point.
Probably.
Yeah. Nah, because I mean, I remember when Russell came into the scene.
Yeah, and he made it off YouTube.
Yeah,
he was already a millionaire before he came into Hollywood. Yeah. He was already fine.
Well, you know, it sounds like well, you did answer my question. Appreciate that. The curious question was that it was because you are one of those guys, and I know that you do this out of passion. I mean, obviously you make money.
Well, I mean, look, my main thing is I love stand up. It's what I'm good at.
Right.
It's what I'm really good at. I'm not a great actor. I know I'm not going to be the lead on a sitcom or a movie. If I am, it's based off what my stand-up brought me. Right. It's not because I have this certain look. It's not because I studied all this acting. I just focus on what I can do well. And the thing is, the industry doesn't really care about stand-up. Like, I mean, they'll give specials and stuff, but it's all a stepping stone towards bigger stuff. But I mean, you even hear the stuff about Joe Coy having to film his own special to sell it to Netflix. And this is Joe Coy, who's already selling out theaters. Like
not theaters, like selling out borderline stadiums. Like he was out in Hawaii for a month straight or something.
Why would you not think that, you know, and look, who knows if it's a racial quotient or not? I don't know. Right. I can't tell. All I know is that I remember stressing so much on Last Comic Standing because I'd done it a few times, and I remember, this is before social media, it's before texting. So everybody's like, I heard this rumor that you can't talk about your ethnicity this season. Okay, like stuff like that. All the comics are like trying to figure out what NBC wants, right? When now I could just do anything and I'd be fine with that. You know what I mean? And they would be fine with that, you know?
So how do you feel about comedy competitions and contests? I mean, you've been in quite a few, you know, the NBC, that's Stand Up for Diversity, the Last Comic Stand. You won the Lifetime Achievement with the funniest comic. You know, to other comedians, what is your point of view towards comedy competitions and contests?
Like doing them or
participating in them?
I mean, I did, the last one that I won was Trial by Laughter, which is in Indianapolis or whatever. Okay. And then I did Laughing Skull the year before that. And I enjoyed the competition because I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing now. Now I don't second guess it. I just do my A stuff and I leave. And if I don't, I'm like, okay, well, It's not meant to be. I'm able to look at it from that lens because before I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done my Indian stuff. Maybe I should have done this. And now I'm just like, it's just because I'm older. It's like, I just kind of don't care. And I wish I had that mentality that I have now back in 2004 at the diversity thing. You know,
Okay.
Marvin always had that.
Yeah, no,
He was
Mark
just
so smooth.
because it took me so, and you know this because you saw me grow. It took me long just to be social. I was so shy back then. I didn't say anything.
Well, that was a surprising thing about you going up and being funny on that first show was the fact that you were probably the least funny person.
I know.
You'd never talked to anybody.
Yeah.
And here it is like, oh, watch this. And we're all gathered around like, well, let's watch this train wreck. And then you were funny. We're all like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, so do you recommend contests?
I would totally do it. I mean, just the main thing that that I've kind of learned is I don't take rejection personal as much anymore. I used to always take it personal. Like, I don't look the right way. I'm not the right this. I'm not this and that. And I still struggle with it at times, but that's why I like stand up, because it's purely just who I am. It's not about how I look, how old I am, where I'm from. It's nothing. It's just those competitions. They don't make the Indian guy win to look diverse. They have to do it based off the audience reaction. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, especially with, the funniest comic in Texas, that was always the thing I really wanted that show to not be me deciding who is the winner. But, it's
and the winners just happen to be diverse, which is very, very cool. It shows you how diverse the Dallas scene is, because if you ever go to Cap City in Austin, they have photographs of all the winners for funniest person in Austin. It's from like the 1980s, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
There's probably 40 winners. There's 3 people that aren't white.
Wow.
And that right there shows you how not diverse the Austin scene is, because how come there's only for us, we started in 2009, how many? There's probably less white people that won it. And that's not because you're trying to show diversity. It's just that was the best person at that time.
I think there's only 2 white people that won it, and one isn't really white.
Yeah.
And then one was a girl. So
so it wasn't forced. It was never forced.
No.
It was.
I mean, with the second year, we gave it to Flo and Flo Hernandez and Mark Agee was on that show. Yeah, and we had that battle. Mark was an amazing writer. Like he's now what I don't even know what he's doing out there.
He's in LA.
He's doing the LA thing.
Yeah.
And Flo on the flip side was someone that I wasn't a big fan of, but he did great. He got up there, he got everybody entertained, and he won that contest. But that's
it's what I love about this scene. Another reason I stay here is I love being able to get stage time. I love it, and I know in LA and New York I'm not going to get privy to this kind of stage time. I know friends in New York who they pay $20 just to go on stage to do 3 minutes.
Really?
If you can't bring in people, let's say a Monday night, right? You got to bring in two friends on a Monday night to pay $20 to get in and 2 item minimums just to watch you do 4 minutes. So if you can't get that, you pay the booker or whoever's in the room $25 to go up and do 3 minutes. There's an abundance of rooms in New York. There's an abundance of rooms, but here I can do, if I wanted to be able to do an hour here, to work an hour, you guys would accommodate me. And I know that's not the reality in every city for me. Again, if I got offers in LA, because I'm pitching an animated show in LA, if that came through, I'd be there.
Right.
But I look at LA as the hot girl that doesn't want me now. And so now I'm just the creepy guy in the bushes. Like, you want me now? You want me as my beard gets grayer? How about now? I said no,
You've
Paul.
been through a lot of bad relationships. Come on, give me a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. So it's just, I don't take it personal. I think again, going back to social media, I think a lot of people just look at how do you get famous? You have to get famous before you're 40, doing this. I'm like, I don't know what else I would do. So if 40 was my timeline, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any other skills. Like, this is it.
I think your skill is going to far surpass 40, maybe 42, 43.
I'm 42 right now. So I got
me and
my dog. My dog's already asleep. He's
Best Buy over here. They're taking applications for restocking in
I'll
the back.
just pet dogs. Can you do that? You get paid for that?
Yeah, they're probably not much, but yeah, there's definitely that gig.
Still more than comics. Right?
Okay, so you, like I said earlier, amazing writer. You took Dean's class in the early days.
And Dean's class is awesome. And back then it was awesome. And he's been doing it way longer now. So the book is way thicker.
Yeah.
So
I took Dean's class. Love it.
But it's like, he is way more complex now, which is better,
Have you taken it again?
Nah.
Would you take it again?
I think I would be annoyed by the students in there because
Probably.
some of the questions. I remember once when I'm sitting in, he told me to ask me to sit in a class. It was about 4 years ago, and this lady actually goes, I'm not making it up. She goes, so how do you write when you can't think of anything? He's like, well, you just write anything down, just free write. But how do you I can't get myself to put the pen on the paper. He's like, well, push. And he was nice enough to say. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why is this a question? Why is this? How do you write when you're not inspired? You just write. And the thing is, look, I don't sit home and write for 8 hours, but inspiration is everywhere. You just have to be open to it. It can't be like at 5 p.m. I'm going to be inspired. It's music, man. It's everywhere around you. If I go to PetSmart right now and something goofy happens, I'm writing it down in my phone. You know what I mean? But people think, people come up with such big ideals when they first start stand-up. They're like, well, I got to do this. And they want to treat it like a job. And it's a job, but it's not a job.
I think it comes with practice.
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
And everybody has their own technique.
Yeah. No, if you sit down for an hour every day from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, now you might not pump out amazing material for that time period, but if you're still observant through the other 23 hours of the day.
That's my big thing. Is it's never, just always be aware that it's all around you.
Yeah.
Everything's around you. There's things that frustrate you, things that make you laugh you just don't, you take it for granted.
Right.
That's why Seinfeld's amazing. He can do a joke on a water bottle and you didn't think about that and you could have because it's right there.
The whole time.
Yeah, you were
How
just,
did I not
yeah,
think of this?
People were just waiting for something dramatic to happen in their lives to write something down, and that's not how it works,
Yeah, so getting back is on that is you had given some advice to a fellow comedian years ago, 15 years ago, about the rule of 5 killers.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this? 5 killers? It was 15 years ago. He's curious if
like John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, Osama bin Laden, Donald Trump next year.
I think he means 5 tags. I'm assuming 5 tags on a joke or something.
No, it's what I was saying. What I meant.
This is the Sean Arredondo.
I think what I meant to say. I can't remember what. This is 15 years ago.
Yeah,
2004. Okay,
seemed like a big deal to him.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'm glad it was.
Well, it helped his career immensely, and he just wouldn't tell you thank you for that.
Let me speculate.
From the prison that he's in for murdering the 6th person.
I assume he's talking about closers, and because that's also I assume that's what he meant is closing bits.
Okay.
But I also my definition of a joke that's crushing is it better have at least 5 laughs in it. If it doesn't have 5 laughs,
that's probably exactly what he's talking about. Having 5 laughs and a joke.
At the bare minimum has to have
and that
5.
would be your closer, or is that any joke?
Any joke, but
really need
but
5
if you have
laughs.
a one-liner or maybe something that only gets 2 or 3 laughs, it better have an applause break.
Okay.
But if it doesn't have an applause break, you need to either add more stuff to it or ditch it.
Not ready for that.
Because you've seen me when I have my random one-liners just to shake up the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Those always get applause breaks,
Right.
but I do that for a reason. But if I have a joke that has 3 laughs and it doesn't get anything, I either add more or I ditch it. Because 5 laughs, if people laugh 5 times in a row, you're killing.
And this is like a topic, you're talking about Skittles,
Yeah,
or
or
the candy, and then you get 5 laughs out of it. And that's
5 laughs, yeah.
That you considered a bit.
Yeah, if you get 5, at minimum 5 in a row, people laughing 5 times in a row they're gonna buckle over.
So the rule still applies, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
but if you get more, if you can do 8, 10, that's great. But 5 minimum.
5 minimum to have a joke.
But watch him come back and be like, "No, you were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer,
and I ate that. But no, okay.
Jack the Ripper."
Okay. So, do you believe in the old age question of comedy is tragedy plus time?
Yes.
Okay.
Tragedy. I think I don't know how national tragedies work. I don't really. I don't. Yeah, that's a weird thing especially because who knows? Everybody deals it within their way. But for me personally, I don't know if this is I guess this is a tragedy. I didn't feel comfortable talking about how late in life I lost my virginity until 4 years ago.
Okay.
And that was because I was one on Dean's on the spot showcases. Where you have to make up stuff on the spot.
Okay.
And he just puts out topics, and you just have to wing it. So he told me afterwards, I purposely put these words on there because I knew it would take you out of your comfort zone. And
you don't really talk about sex much.
No,
because I literally can't think of a single sex
Not that
joke.
It's tragic. It's just it was something that was embarrassing for me for a long time. Because, dude, we're going way off topic. It's a different podcast, and it sounds weird when I say I tried. I tried sounds like I'm assaulting women, but I didn't want it. I think they call it incels now. I think that's what they call them, involuntary celibate, whatever.
Okay.
That's what that whole Joker movie. That's what they call like this whole all these. They always say white guys, but I wasn't white. It's all these just losers who couldn't talk to girls who get mad and go shoot up shit, right?
Right.
So I wasn't the shoot up guy, and I wasn't angry.
Right.
But like I would hear everybody like, yeah, I got laid when I was 17. I'm like, I used to make up stories like, yeah, I got laid when I was 18.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
I was so crazy with it.
yeah.
Man, I got so much vagina.
Exactly. So I'd never, and because nobody was interested, no girl will ever talk to me. This is before like online anything. You could meet anybody. Now you have no reason not to get laid. Like I won't like. Even these incels, somebody will bang you.
Yeah,
somebody has a weird fetish for that.
At least one. Just keep swiping. Never quit swiping.
That's good advice.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
So when he put that topic on there, I was like, he was like, oh, we just start talking about the first thing that brings up. That's how you do these things. And I brought it up, and the second I said, because I was 28.
Okay.
The second I said it out loud, it took all of the fear away. Now it's just a joke.
Now I had no power.
It's weird. It's as creepy as it sounds. It's like I was all self-conscious, like, oh, they're going to judge me. Now what I get is people going, you're lying, right? I'm like, and I'm not, why would I lie about that?
This is not something.
Because they also know me now where I'm social, I'm talking, hanging out with everybody. Like,
right.
If I had told you.
And you got a girlfriend,
I know.
so that's,
yeah.
it's official, Like,
if I had told you that, if I had told you when you first met me
right.
that you would have been like, yeah, of course you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, wow, you're not a virgin still? That's probably where I would have gone.
Exactly. So, it's just once you say those embarrassing things, but again, that's time, man. That was like, it took me 10 years to be able to comfortable saying that.
Well, I think everybody kind of grows as a comic and starts getting used to their own skin.
Yeah.
I mean, that I always talk about, like, you have these epiphany moments. Comics come to me early in the game. They're like, what do I got to do to get on the show? And I'm like, first question I always ask, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been doing this for like 6 months now. I'm like, well, I'll see you in a year and a half.
You know how you can always tell is like, ask them how much time they have.
Right. But they always lie.
Of course. That's what I'm saying.
Always lie.
If they say anything, they'll always say 30. They always say 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, good. It's like this one chick I recently talking to one of Dean's students had come through with, and I'm like, how much material? She's like, 4 hours.
4 hours?
And I was like, immediately, Dean came back to me later, and he goes, I saw you just shut down when she said that. I'm like, she's lying out of her teeth. Like, you're telling me you've done 4 hours of unique material? Like, no. But as far as you're growing, I mean, the epiphany moments is, like 6 months, a year in the game.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of start figuring out your voice.
Yeah.
And usually it's something traumatic that happens in a show.
Yeah.
Or you have that breakthrough bit where you get that real reaction where you go, oh, that's who I am.
Yeah. I think the one thing that comics don't get is there's a difference between a reaction and a laugh.
Yeah.
And it's a thin line.
Yeah.
But if they're laughing at you, you need to be able to feel that they're laughing at you, and that's not a good thing.
No.
There's a difference between a gut laugh and and them reacting at stuff they've been kind of conditioned to react at.
Oh, he said it over here or whatever,
yeah.
comparably to like, so I always call those the big jokes. I don't know what you call them. Everybody probably has different names. I call them O jokes. Okay. So of course you got the simple ones where it's like, I just, I signed a deal with HBO, and everybody's like, oh, congratulations, and it's like, got 3 months
years,
free, with my subscription, and then you got the race related jokes. Then you have these simple jokes, and then you have the jokes that people, they don't even get. And then it's like, my God, it's so smart because it just goes over and then it just smashes.
It's
and
back,
it's this kind of slow
wave,
like, whoa. And then that laugh just lasts twice, 3 times as long because people bump at someone else going like, dude, did you cat? And they're like,
yeah, that's how the Chick-fil-A joke worked for me. It's like when people started getting it, you can see it ripple throughout. But you have to know the difference between those kinds. But I think the other thing is, like, I think again, going back to social media, I think people feel like they're on this timeline to have to make it as quick as possible. I feel like remember how we used to always joke around about how comics would come up to you and lie about whatever they can to get on stage? Yeah. And now, like, lying is rewarded on social media. Like, call it hustling and grinding. I'm like, anytime you hustle, that's illegal, right? Yeah. Hustling's illegal, like, technically. Like, another thing that I love about the city, it's about as close, and the comics who left here will also vouch for me when I say this, it's about as close to fair as a comedy scene can be. It's the closest in any other city. Because in New York and LA, it can be how many Twitter followers do you have? Are you on this show? How many people can you bring? It can be, those are all variables. But if you're really good in the city, you're getting work. Right. Nobody's getting overlooked. Anybody who thinks they're getting overlooked, they're not as funny as they thought they were. And that's what they don't get. or they're complete assholes off stage. It's one of the two.
That's the etiquette.
And you got to figure out which one it is.
Oh yeah, no, you're exactly right. I hear people complain all the time, like, you know, just through various, like I read an article recently, and someone was complaining about, they don't book me because I'm a woman or whatever. And I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Like, this has to do with the fact that you're not funny, that like someone else. Don't get me wrong. You have 2 or 3 or 5 minutes of funny, but I need someone that has 15, 20 minutes of funny. Even as an MC, I need you to have that kind of time.
And even like, if you really want to make money doing stand-up, you have to have an hour to make money. You're not going to make money doing hosting around the country.
No, not at all.
Unless you're doing corporate stuff, and that's hard to get into. I mean, that's how I make my money. Is corporate stuff. But
corporate world, that's
also
a
like
pile.
That's why I always try to tell comics just to work clean in general, because you're just more bookable.
Right.
And it's not stifling your creativity, because I have edgy stuff. You've seen my act. I have edgy stuff, but it's still clean. But you just have to know how to write it. You just have to figure out what you can and can't say. But yeah, dude, this city's not prejudiced at all. And anybody that thinks it is just not funny enough, dude. I mean, look, I'm an Indian dude who got booked literally the week of 9/11. I was 3 months. Trey booked me to open for Pablo Francisco. I was 3 months into stand-up. And he postponed it because 9/11 happened, and he didn't want anything to happen to me. But if an Indian kid can get work in the South in 2001, then they're not biased. They're not prejudiced. It's just you're not funny enough.
Do you have a comedy buddy? Like who do you?
It changes. I mean, obviously when Mark was here, it was me and Mark. He's like my comedy wife. So, and what I love about him is he's the complete opposite of me. Like even comedy wise, like I think I'm more optimistic than he is, you know? And plus he sees race in a different way than I do. He'll see things about when I'm talking about my life. He's like, why do you guys do that I'm not even aware of, you know? I always tell people, like, if you're going to find somebody to write with, find somebody who's your complete opposite. Like, don't find, I'm a dirty guy, you're a dirty guy, let's write together.
Let's write dirty jokes together.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, no,
just find the clean, nerdy guy and write with him, you know? And vice versa. Like, you know, I remember Al Fike talking about the Christian comedy stuff. He was always like, you know, we all get together and write together. I'm like, that's why the jokes are just boring.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, I'm not going to tag him in this.
That's okay. He's probably listening anyway.
He is.
I know he's listening. You know what he used to do?
Break out a banjo?
No.
Okay.
He used to. So 2 things. He kicked me off. I was on the very first Christian comedy night. Okay. I go up there, do my time. The next day, he calls me and he asks me, hey, where am I in my walk with God? Okay, that's what he says. Okay. And I didn't know what my sister's a priest, and my sister doesn't even use walk with God. I'm like, I don't know. I'm driving right now. That's what I said. I'm like, I don't walk anywhere. That's what I told him. He's silent on the other end. He's like, okay, well, I just wanted to know. And he hung up, right? And then Trey calls me like 10 minutes later. Hey, I can't put you on the show anymore. Al said you're not Christian enough for the show. Yeah. You know who they replaced me with?
No.
Hindu Raj Sharma.
Oh yeah, that's so way more. The guy that literally doesn't have the.
So me and Al never talked again, right? But then when about probably a year later, about a couple months later, Trey starts headlining me. Right. You know, he headlined me way early, way before I was ready. But whatever, it's kudos.
He saw the talent.
No, he was nice. I mean, look, you and Trey and Jeff and Raymond and Chris Omby have all been like, okay, we get it, dude. We get you're good. Yeah. We'll book you as much as we can without pissing everybody else off. Yeah. I understand that. I understand that other people need work too. But if I'm in town, I'm like, hey, can I? I get it. Yeah. And so they were good with that. But he would come into my shows, sit in the back. He never said hi to me. He would sit in the back. The only reason I knew this is because I would see him. And I remember one of the managers telling me this. He would have a laptop.
Timing.
And he would timing my laughs per minute.
Yeah.
He had this little chart. Like he would do it. He did it at least 3 times.
Oh, many times.
Yeah. I'm like, he's measuring me? Like this seems weird. Like it was like this. He had that headset on. Like he was like trying to analyze my, my speech patterns or whatever,
He's trying to intimidate. He was trying to.
But it's illegal. You can't record me.
No. He was. I don't think he was recording. And let's be clear. He can't do any of your jokes in his business line.
Repertoire.
Yeah, I mean, like
but anyway, it's still weird.
There's an element of, yeah.
It's just that stuff is so weird. But again, talking about writing, that's why. So now, like, I write with Seth Coles, and then I write with LaRon write, and then I write with Alvin, and it's pretty much it. Like there's some new guys that will come in that kind of want to write, but they're brand new. So like the advice I give, they haven't experienced it yet, so they don't even know. And especially new guys are always like, but this is what I wanted to talk about. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you my perspective.
Yeah.
You don't have to use it, but if you don't want to use that angle, can I have it back? Because there's no point in letting it float in the abyss.
Yeah, no, that's true. Would you recommend these newbies doing the comedy school? I mean, like a DCH has one. I think there's a bunch of.
I mean, the only one I would recommend is Dean's, because I just know Dean. And Dean's, everybody that comes out of Dean that sticks with it. I think the problem now, and Dean said this with his class, is they only go up in the same 2 venues. Everybody's too scared to get out of their zip code, or because it's scary. I mean, again, going back to the guys with Mark and Raj and Jason and Tone, everybody, all of us went to every open mic, every single one, meaning like the ones in the hood and the ones in Frisco and the ones in Arlington, and we were all like, there's, you knew that every night you could just go out, there'd be at least 7 of them there, Perry, everybody just hanging out, talking, drinking. We do our sets, we bomb, we all laugh that we all bomb together, we kill, we're like, how'd he kill? And we all did that. And I don't think that really exists now. It's like, well, that's not my room, and they're not my type of crowd. I'm like, nobody's paying to see you, dude.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, is when people don't want to break out of the mold. I think though, when I see someone that's talented, I want to throw them on shows to challenge them.
Of course.
Because we used to have that show back in the day, Fat Tuesday.
That's how I got work.
And man, if you could go up on Fat Tuesday and get that crowd on your side, and usually the first time on Fat Tuesday, someone did it.
I bombed the first time.
Yeah.
But they also introduced me they introduced me as the guy who had nothing to do with 9/11. That's how Ned introduced me.
And coming to the stage.
Yeah. And they were like, boo! I was like, okay. My dad's afraid of the dark. I was so bad. Now I would just tell them to fuck off. I'm like, guys, come on, dude. Really? But that's how I got work, because Trey even told me, hey, listen, if you can kill this crowd, I'll get you work. Because
now I know we can book you on this show. I mean, it literally opens.
It's literally the extremes. It's can you kill a white crowd? Can you kill a black crowd?
Right.
And if you can do that, then I can put you in any single show. And then if you're clean, I can put you on corporate stuff. And then everybody's gonna get mad that I work you all the time. But that's just how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, there was a lot of jealousy early in the game with you because of so much attention. But you persevered, and
that's kind of what got me out of my shell, because I realized this isn't comparable to women. If there's a hot girl that's quiet, everybody thinks she's a bitch.
Yeah.
If she's decent looking and quiet, oh, she's shy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I was really good early on, and I was quiet, so they thought I was conceited. But I've told you this before, because you used to think that about me.
Yeah.
We talked about, but they're just shy.
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe I should just start talking to people.
Yeah.
And maybe drink with them a little bit instead of just doing my set in my big notebook and going home.
True. Very true.
And then then everybody, like, now if people hate me, it's because I was drunk and said something dumb, not because of what I do. So, which is good. It's good to know why they hate me.
Good to find.
Back then, yeah.
So before we wrap, big piece of the table. The game. The game is, what was the first joke that you got to laugh, and or the first joke that you realized you were a comedian, you were going to have this as an opportunity?
Okay. The first joke I got to laugh at was on the showcase. Well, I guess the class doesn't count, because the class, they have to support you. But in the showcase, let's say the very first joke I ever did. Okay, I'll say I haven't. Okay, let me see if I remember. So his opening line was, "I'm Indian," and everybody laughed at that point. I don't know why. This is 01. Look, nobody was sensitive. I'm the only Indian kid they probably ever saw on stage. 01.
Yeah.
For context, I'm Indian. I'm Indian and I have big teeth. Okay. Just exactly the two. I'm Indian. I'm skinny. Well, I'm Indian. I'm skinny, and I have big teeth. Just exactly the 3 things every woman looks for.
Right.
Okay. And then cut to Dean 101, act out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, look at that skinny brown man. Ooh, baby got bicuspids. That was my first joke.
Okay.
Killed. I was like, okay, well, it works.
But it hurt. Every time I said it, it hurt a little.
I mean, I like alliteration in hindsight, but I would never do that joke now. It's not a hacky. It's whatever,
I'm going to make you do that on the next show.
I'll do it. I'll do it. The way I do it now. The first joke that made me feel like, oh, I'm doing different shit was the convertible joke about Shalantley.
Oh.
Because that was my first real closer. It's a 4-minute closer, and it's nonverbal really for 3 minutes of it. I don't say anything. And once I did that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm nobody's doing what I'm doing. And I watch a lot of stand up. Like nobody's doing that. If I can write more of that, whether I get showcases or not, it's going to stick out wherever I'm at. It's like, this kid's almost basically miming, but
Right.
you know, like, and you know, I mean, I watch so much stand up and I still don't see that kind of stuff. But once I wrote that, I was like, oh, that's what my brain is capable of doing, you know? So
Do you think comedians, baby comedians, new ones, should watch a lot of comedy?
it depends. I think the two talents that really good comics have are they're self-aware, really self-aware, like cognizant that joke sucks and I'm bombing and I did this wrong and how do I fix that? And I don't think a lot of comics think that. I think they just deflect blame and that's just their own personality, whatever.
Right.
But that's a talent. If I meet somebody who's self-aware of it, that's a talent. I think the other thing is the talent is, can you watch stand-up and not subconsciously absorb it and start doing it as your own material? Because
Right.
a lot of comics do that.
Right.
Like I hear comics like, I don't watch comedy at all, and then I'll see them do like, oh, that's a Bill Burr joke.
Right.
Like, why are you doing that? Like, no, I thought of it. I'm like, no, you didn't, dude. Like maybe you think you thought it,
Yeah.
but you watched it at some point.
Yeah.
But maybe they purposely didn't do it. But I'm able to watch material and go like, oh, okay, I can't do that.
No.
But I also feel like hack is kind of like, it's accepted now. I don't think the industry cares about it anymore.
No.
I'm not saying go hack material. I'm saying I don't think they care, because you'll see comics do the exact same jokes. I mean, there's comics doing airplane jokes now. Airplane jokes are on Netflix. They're huge. It's like, I thought you weren't supposed to do those, but it's a new generation of people who are like, haven't heard it.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not saying hack people. I'm not saying,
No,
but
I'm going to start my comedy career.
you
and
should
I'm just
do all 80s stuff.
I would just do nothing but emo Phillips.
Yeah, it'll kill. I'm sure somebody's out there doing Hedberg stuff. I'm sure there's some kid out there.
Oh yeah, no, definitely having some people. And Daniel Tosh is probably another one that people can easily hack.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just the.
I mean, I've had Indian kids steal my stuff and post it online. You know, so it's.
So how are you doing over in India? Are you marketing yourself at all? Over to that
I've
new
performed
populace?
over there. I performed over there in 2013 or 14.
Okay.
With Gabriel.
Okay.
So it's kind of a different environment there. You're in theaters, but they came to see him. So and I'm also like Americanized Indian kid.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a sellout.
Do you even speak Hindi?
No, I speak Malayalam, which is way down south. It's like the Vietnamese of Indian
Okay.
languages. So nobody understands it.
Okay.
So
9 people. You
yeah,
could do a
I
show
mean, Raj
for-
speaks Hindi, so it
Yeah.
helps. You know, I don't speak it, so I sound like a whitewashed, confused Indian to them. So like it took me a while. We only did 3 shows. The first show I sucked. Second show I realized, and the people were tweeting me like from the audience, like, look at this coconut, this sellout, doesn't know who he is. I'm like, dude, I'm born and raised there. Like, what am I supposed to do? You know? I realized that when I do my dad's accent, I basically should just walk out doing my dad's accent, because how I'm talking now is the accent.
Right.
My dad isn't the accent.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, it's funny.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
It's
They would have liked you a lot more.
yeah.
They'd be like, look, he's struggling with these words.
Yeah.
Like we struggle.
I'm skinny and I have big teeth.
I'm brown.
Yeah. The ladies love baby got bicuspids.
Am I allowed to do the accent? I don't think I'm allowed to do the
You got to
accent.
do it as good as we do, though.
Okay.
That's the thing. Don't
Just-
don't do
don't-
the hacky.
Don't
do-
halfway through change to like a Vietnamese sounding and then like Japanese at the end, then come back to yeah. Then, I'm terrible with accents. It's
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no,
That's a good thing. That means I'm glad you're aware of that, because most people who think they're great at accents are terrible at it.
yeah.
You don't know how many people come up to me after shows and goes, like, the only thing they take away from my show is my dad's accent.
Right.
Like, oh, your dad is so funny. And like some white guy is doing that. I'm like, okay, dude, just say it. Just say it was a good show. But
Yeah, just
you
that-
can't.
Racist son of a.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
Well, Mr. Varghese, thanks for
thanks,
coming out. Appreciate having you on the show.
Of course, man.
Until
Sorry.
next time.
Yeah, sorry that my dog interrupted us.
Ah.
Yeah, we were talking about you.
Oh yeah, no. No, he's up. He's up and ready to party.
Exactly. It's his birthday.
Go get some bitches.
All right.
That's what they call it. All right. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.
That's so funny.
Make sure you hit the like and share button while you sit back and listen, laugh, and learn. Enjoy the show.